What's up guys, my name's Luke and welcome back to Motion and Design. Merry Christmas, by the way. I'm recording this the day after Christmas. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I think it's gonna arrive on YouTube like a week later. I decided to change it up a bit and upload to Patreon first, and then the week after I'll upload to YouTube. So yeah, if you guys are interested in getting the project's files early and also the YouTube videos early, consider supporting me on Patreon. But if not, it'll be on YouTube for free in a week. So yeah, this is going to be the second video in this series of recreating a bunch of the shots from Oppenheimer. Last week we did the nuke, and now we're going to do one of the spinning shots. So I thought they looked pretty cool, and when watching some videos on it, it seems like how they did it was, all they did was they just put some object and just spun it around really fast and just used a lot of motion blur. And I felt like I was able to get something kind of close to it. It's not perfect, but the technique is at least there. So I'm sure one of you guys out there can go ahead and make it, perfect. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Cool, so let's start out just by creating a baseline for our geometry. So I was watching a video of these guys recreating how they made some of these effects in, just on a low budget, and how they did this effect was they created a pin. And I thought that that's actually a pretty good idea, because then we have multiple different shades of silver. So we're just going to create a really rough looking pin over here. So obviously you guys can use your own geometry. I'm just going to show you guys what I did, and yeah, you're more than welcome to follow along, but if you don't want to, that is perfectly okay. Let's just go and create a string that it's going to be attached to, that we're going to use to swing it around. You don't need to add the string, it's just if cool. Now let's group all of this. Let's just call it one. It's two, but it's okay. Then let's go and just move our anchor point and let's move it all the way to the front over here. Cool. So we can change back to this and we can just center onto this. Awesome. Now that's in the middle. Let's just see how big this is, because I have it is massive. But that's okay, let's just make it a lot smaller. Yeah, something like that should be fine. Cool. Now with the selected, let's just make it spin, and we need to make it spin like really fast. So let's add that's quite a few rotations. I guess set a keyframe there. Go back to frame 0 and set it to 0. And let's just make these linear. And now when we press play, we should get a really fast spinning object. Cool, so let's see what this looks like now when we have to open up our render view. So let's go, press open up a render view. And now if we look at, this is just a frame in it. Even if we had to render out a frame, it's just going to be a static image. But we want to add some motion blur. So let's go to redshift, go to advanced, and let's turn on motion blur. Let's see what this looks like. Cool. Now you can see that it kind of disappears. You can kind of see there's a little bit over there. The reason for this is that the scene is way too dark. So let's just add in a light over here. Let's just bring what is happening. There we go. Let's just bring this back. Maybe a light over here and then a light on top. Cool. Now let's render this again. And now look, we have some motion blur going on. Well, let's just frame this up a little bit more. And let's also just turn down our sampling over here, maybe just 0.1, just for the means over here, just to see what it's looking like. Cool, so now we got a bunch of motion blur and it looks cool, but the only problem is that it's a straight line. If it's spinning in a circle, you kind of expect it to create a circular motion. So we can fix that by going back into our motion blur and use this transformation steps. So let me show you what it does. If we had to set this to like 4, and render it out again, you can see that now it's creating a curve. But you can kind of see where each of these is, like one over there, there. You can kind of see that there's like kind of straight lines to it. The faster it's going, I think the more evident it will be. So let's set this to something like 10. And now look, we have a perfectly smooth line over there. Cool. So because we are, it's going to be animation, let's change this to movie. Let's hit render again. And it's a bit longer now, which is at least what I want. But if you want it to be shorter, just set this to, something smaller over here. And it'll create a small motion blur. If you want it to be longer, just make this number a little bit bigger over here. Cool. And now it's even longer. So I'm going to set it back to 360. I think that looked the best. I Go by Zach did a really cool tutorial on how the motion blur really works. He went a lot more in depth. If you guys are interested in learning how the motion blur works, go check him out. He did a tutorial on Vincent Smek's Patreon. So yeah, go check that out if that's something that you're interested in. I'm not going to go in depth in this, seeing as though it's literally just turning on motion blur and including the transformation steps to get that kind of smooth motion. But yeah, if you're interested in that, go check out his tutorial. Cool. So if we had to render it out again, this is exactly what we're looking for. So we do still have these bumps over here. So maybe if we had to set this to something like 20. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Although we are getting this over here. I don't know if you want that. If you do, leave it in. Maybe if I turn on this, that'll hold that. Nope, it does not. Let's create a lot more of these. Looking at the reference, so there's a bunch of spinning shots, but the one that I'm going to recreate for this video is the one where there's like a lot of spinning. So yeah, we're going to need a few more of these. Let's take this, let's put it into a null, and let's add a camera here just so we can move out a bit. A camera facing. Yeah, let's add a camera here. Cool. So with this selected, let's go and turn this to about here. Let's make another duplicate and turn it like here. So now when we press play, we'll have all three moving. Cool. Let's now go and group all of these just so that we have one big group of this. Let's just put this just so that they're a little bit more equally distributed. Cool. Let's add a vibrate tag onto this. Let's go to our rotation here and set this to about 30 with frequency of like 0.2. And now you'll see what happens is that if I select these, you can see that it's I hope you can see, but it's kind of like wobbling like this, which will just look cool in motion with some motion blur. Cool, so let's go and duplicate this one more time. Let's rotate it a bit more. Let's go to our seed over here. Let's change that, and then let's just change up the angles a bit. You can do it one more time. Change up the seed again. Move it a tiny bit more, just so that we have some variation. And now we have 3 spinning, which can look, well, let's see. Hopefully it looks cool. Let's go back into our camera, press render. And yeah, now we got a bit more, variation to it. Cool, so at the moment it's really dark. We can fix that just by going in and add some lights. So I'm just going to add a few more lights. We got one over there, and I didn't mean to turn this one off, but now we got one above. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Let's see what that looks like. Cool, so now we're catching this a little bit more. We are catching a lot more of the strings, so I'm not sure if you want that, but I don't. So I'm just going to turn this down by a bit. Something like that. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit cooler. Cool, so looking at the reference, the background wasn't like pitch black. It had like a little bit of like blue kind of fog to it. So I thought let's just add some fog to the scene. So let's go to Redshift, Object, RS Environment. Let's set this to be like really small. Let's see what it looks like. Cool, at the moment it's just white. That's because both of these are contributing a lot to that. So let's turn it down to something like this. Cool. Then let's go and create a volume. Put this on our environment. Let's set for max on noise. This into the volume now. And if we now have to go into the inputs and set this like, I don't know, 5,000. Yeah. Now you can see we have some variation. Let's go and change up the color. Let's set it to like a blue. It'd be like a more, something like that. Looks pretty cool. And now you can mess around with the different noises until you find something that you like. I think this looks pretty cool. And then let's save render again. And now look, we have something that looks pretty cool. It was really quick to get. And yeah, now just with some more love and attention and just kind of playing around with the objects that you're using, you can create some really cool results. I mean, just by moving our camera over here, let's just go from underneath. Let's see what that looks like. That's okay. We have to go like, I don't know, straight on. That looks pretty cool too. Another thing that you can do is inside these, I just went and I rotated them a bit. So by doing that, we just have a, wrong one. Where is this one? We just had a bit of variation. We'll see now when I press render. I guess we don't have too much variation. But just by changing stuff like that, you can add some more like randomness to the way that this looks. So yeah, quite a simple and quick tutorial, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It is kind of how I did it. There are like 3 shots in my render with the spinning. All of them are done exactly like this. It's just the one I used a little bit more of these things, the other one I used less, and the other one I made just really fast. That's how I got the spinning effects done. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. And yeah, if you are interested in the project files, all the project files are up on Patreon. I think there's like 9 different project files. I think there was like 9 different shots. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.